Hey guys, how's it going? It is Kara here with another Infinite Magicraid video. And in today's video, I want to talk about speed. And more specifically, what speed requirements you should be aiming for based on the content. And I think this is kind of interesting, and I'm noticing some patterns here that I wanted to share with you guys, and where I'm thinking I'm going to want to take my characters and like goals to shoot for long term, because these are hard speed requirements to get, but I think will benefit you a lot. So initially, this idea came from when I was doing the guild boss here, and I was noticing that even with speed amounts differing not by that much, like maybe by 100 speed, over time, people will start to overtake people pretty quickly in this game, at least relative to raid. I feel like the speed, like the turn meter gain you get from differences in speed, seems to be pretty dramatic the longer the encounters go. So, and it ramps up pretty quickly. So it means that you really need to be close to the boss in speed, or ideally faster than the boss, to make sure you're always going before them so they don't lap you. Because bosses in this game, not the guild boss, but every dungeon and in Tower of Mark, for example, the places where the bosses are really difficult, you are going to get lapped, and then getting lapped means that they're going multiple times, which means they're ramping up faster, and which in turn means they're going to do more damage. So you really can't have that happen. So it's like a lot of times people want to be survivable, but the best way to be survivable is just to be fast, so you can actually keep up with them and then they don't snowball out of control. So what I was looking through here is I wanted to get some ideas of the speed of different game modes here, so you can kind of get an idea where you want to shoot for so you don't have that happen to you. The exception to this is going to be arena and world map for different reasons. So arena, this is going to be situational for your comp, and there's certain characters that, because you're competing against other players, you're going to want them as fast as possible. Like there's no limit here for a speed requirement. It's just going to be, you need to go faster. For example, Ascendo is a character that you're going to want to outspeed. And so it's really going to depend on the person you're facing and how fast they are. So can't really go into arena there. And then for the world map, when it comes to 3-star and campaign, the requirements here are to do it under 100 turns. So sometimes going too fast is a problem if you're not doing anything with those turns. A big example of this is going to be a character that I really like, but for this particular situation is not the greatest in space here, where she's boosting up your turn meter, slowing them down. But a lot of people, when they're trying to 3-star the campaign, they don't have that great a gear. They're not doing that much direct damage. So getting all these extra turns is not really relating to that much damage. And especially if you're doing dot damage as your primary source of damage, if you're lapping them a ton, then you're waiting for the dot to tick, because they need to go for that to happen. So it's going to be a problem with your 100 turns here if you're relying on space and you're going too fast potentially. So how the speed works in Hell campaign is here's the Hell stages, here's the speed breakdown per wave, and it's going to be just this right here, where one person's going to go 960, 970, 980, 990, and then 999. So to go faster, that's the only speed you need to have this. You want to be kind of with them, depending on your comp, depending on how you're going to be doing damage. It's going to be tough to figure out an exact speed requirement to actually be able to get it under those 3 stars. If you're just trying to beat it, probably going to be as fast as possible to get more cooldowns, to get more survivability, to actually push through, because you actually have 300 turns in that situation. So those are the two caveats here, but everything else is going to be on a pretty predictable pattern here. There is one exception, and I'll get to that here in a second, but I'm speaking in Tower of Mark terms and in dungeon terms. And what's nice about this is that you can kind of prepare the speeds for both pieces of content, because they're both hard and they at least have similar stuff here. So you don't have to have like a Tower of Mark team comp and like, or a build comp version of the same character when you're going from dungeons to there. And so basically how it works is he's the exception. He goes way faster. And so you're going to probably want to speed down character for this guy. He goes like 3,000 plus speed, even at this stage. Whereas every other one is on a very predictable pattern here when it comes to the boss. And how it works is, so let me back up first and say that I do want to highlight that when it comes to these dungeons here, the power requirements are different based on how far right you go. So these first batch here, these three are mainly for the normal sets of gear, and then these are going to be your artifacts over here. So there's going to be different power requirements here, and they get way harder the further right you go. But the speed requirements stay the same, except for Ifrit here. He's fast. So these 5 and Tower Mark are all the same. And so there's a pretty big pattern here that most things you're going to want to do here. So how it works, and then another thing why I wanted to test these ones over here is because the power requirements are so hard comparatively that I was wondering maybe they ramp up at a higher speed requirement, or they hit those same speed thresholds a little earlier, but they don't. So if you go into here, like let's say stage 28, so notice how stage 28 is this much power here, like 886,000. Whereas if I go to like this guy, or like here, I'll get a drastic example. Here, stage 21 is already very close to that power level. Stage 22 already exceeds it versus 28. So it gets drastically harder for this. And then there's certain things I want to test that I haven't tested yet. Whereas look at the level of the characters. So these guys are 280. I wonder if all characters that are 280 have a predictable amount of attack, predictable amount of defense, stuff like that. But that's going to require further testing so you can actually get an idea going in on what you need to hit potentially for them, or you can get an idea of how hard they hit. It can be a fun test. So, but how they do this when it comes to speed specifically is, so starting at stage 30, the boss is going to have 2,200 speed, and then it's going to go down by 20 every single time based on the stages here. So that's what you can use to predict exactly how fast you need to go, because, and I really think going fast is going to help a ton with some of these bosses here to really improve your survivability. It's going to use this information based on your comp and how you want to do this. But I think eventually you're going to want to shoot for these speed thresholds for all of your characters or most of your characters, so you can make sure that when the boss happens, you get a turn. And it means if you have a speed booster or a speed slower, you're getting a real benefit there, because instead of using like a space, for example, to lower the boss and then make him on your level, what you're doing is you're using him to be significantly slower than you now, so you can actually gain the benefit of lapping him versus what he's probably doing to most people, which is lapping you. And it doesn't take long for it to ramp. I'm talking like 5 turns is what I was noticing in Clan Boss, where I can get, like if I had a really fast Catherine, I'm lapping my own characters every 5 turns. So imagine a boss doing that, that's hitting really hard, you're barely surviving, and then they're ramping that much faster, doing an extra 5% more damage because of that. So that's why I think these speed requirements are going to be really important to hit. And what's nice about it is so much of the content that's difficult is consistently this speed. I don't have to go in and worry that these other places are not going to be that speed. The only exception is this one. He's way faster, but all of the dungeons here and the Tower of Marks here, they all have that same speed requirement here. And I feel like because with the comp that I have and the, for how hard this content is, being able to beat this, I think it's kind of proving the point of just how effective this speed is, because I've beaten Tower of Mark 29 because I would make sure all my characters were either close or exceeding the boss's speed here. And I had Catherine go before him to guarantee the shield, and then I had everyone kind of in that close range there to keep up with him, so we didn't get overlapped. And not getting overlapped allowed me to, him not to ramp up out of control and beat him, even though this is very difficult content. Like, these are 3 characters here, and look at how much power they have. They have more power than that stage 22 dungeon. So it's definitely hard content, but I think this is going to be kind of a good method here to use to actually be able to attempt this hard content, because right now it's very difficult. And if you try to go in with like crazy health stats and crazy survivability stats, but slack on speed, they're just going to ramp up crazy. And then it's like you didn't even have all that health. And so I really think, I don't know the specific amounts here on what you're going to actually need to survive. You definitely want to push these health stats up. I really think health is probably the better stat versus defense for most part, but you still want to have both. But if you're not pushing these higher speed amounts, then what's the point of having another 200,000 HP if they're just, by the time it's like turn 10, they've gone twice as much, or they've gone like 2 extra turns. Like, I'm not even saying a crazy amount of ramping. Like, it's probably over the course of 10 turns, they go 2 more times or maybe 3 more times. But that's now 3 extra times that they did an extra 5% more damage each time. So who cares about that extra 100,000, 150,000 health if that's happening? So that's pretty much the concept I'm thinking here. It's been really effective for me. I've been able to push a ton into Mark Tower here. I get completely wrecked by Tower Mark 30. It's super hard, but at least I was able to get that far with those that kind of strategy on when it comes to gearing here, and then applying that to other dungeons has been really nice, especially doing Rum here. Not going before the boss was really difficult, and then now I have a couple of characters going before him, which is really nice to make sure you kind of stabilize a bit. And yes, buffs get stolen and stuff like that from the dude on the right, but it is nice to have that little extra insurance there. Or like maybe your space going in first turn goes before the boss and slows him, so then everyone goes before him, for example. So it's really nice there. So that's pretty much it for this video here. Just wanted to talk about the speed requirements that I think you should be shooting for. This is, of course, over time. So make sure that you're slowly ramping this up, because like you don't need to have the 2,200 speed requirement when you're only pushing like, stage 24 or 23. Just do the math and then subtract it by 20 per stage, and then go down to here and then have like, 2060 or something like that. Or at least know that that's the number and get as close as you possibly can so he doesn't lap you so fast. Because if you only have 1,700 speed as your fastest dude, he's lapping you so fast, and he's lapping everyone. So yeah, that's definitely going to be a problem. So that's pretty much it. That's what I want to talk about today. And with that, guys, I'm out of here. Peace.